Hello everybody, hope you're doing well and welcome back to another video. It's super cold, it's raining very heavy outside, so you might be able to hear it, but anywho, this is a video I really enjoyed making last year and I am making it again this year. 2 days ago I posted my worst books of 2023, but this is the nice one. This has the good for. This is the 50 best books of 2023. Last year I only did 30 through to 1. This year I'm doing 50 through to 1. From 50 to 26 I'll just tell you the book, and then 25 to 11 I'll have a few more thoughts to share, and then 10 to 1 will be obviously more of a review of the book and why I loved it so much. So yeah, sit down, get a drink. I don't know how long this is going to be, hopefully not that long, but I can talk on and on about books, so we shall see. But starting off at number 50 is Sounds Like Fun by Brian Moriarty. Yeah, I really enjoy this. I read it as an audiobook and would recommend. Then we have Boys Run the Riot Volume 2 by Keito Gaku. I read this during the Transrights Readathon. Totally recommend that manga. I need to complete it. Then we have Small Town Pride by Phil Stamper. Really cute middle grade. Then we have If the Silence Takes You by Jessie Withers. A fun historical fiction novella. Not that fun, it's a little bit sad, but would recommend. Next is You Don't Know What War Is by Yiva Staleteska. I gave this to my friend after reading it, but yeah, would totally recommend this, like memoir, like diary entry book. Really recommend that. Then we have I Hope This Finds You Well poetry collection by Kate Bear. Fun blackout poetry. Feminist spin. Recommend, obviously. Then we have The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This is massive. The last 2 pages it didn't need to have, but would recommend it still. Then we have The Terrible Thing That Happened to Barney McRocket by John Boyne. Again, a fun book with nice messages. Then we have Days at the Morisaki Bookshop by Satoshi Yagasawa. I really enjoyed this book and I had relatability and I loved it. Next is Pride by Leona Story. Would really recommend this book. It's just there's a few errors in it that I couldn't oversee, so yep. And finally, for the current stack I was holding is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. Really enjoyed this like thriller-ish thing, but also commentary on like racism in the publishing industry, and I have this really pretty edition. I definitely want to give this a reread soon to see what else I can get out of it, but yep, totally recommend and totally worth the hype. Animal Farm by George Orwell. I literally cannot believe I'm holding this up currently in the best books of the year, but I really enjoyed this and it was such a surprise. I preferred this so much more than 1984 and would recommend it over that like any day of the week, but I know some people prefer that, but obviously I don't. Then we have this little dinky thing, Terrific Mother by Laurie Moore. I love this. I really enjoyed this book, but it was just kind of too short to have any more than the rating it has. Next is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Yeah, really enjoyed this. I think it was a bit overhyped in my mind, but I still enjoyed it, and would so recommend it. I'm so happy this has the hype and admiration that it does for a queer historical fiction book. Then we have The Little Prince by Antoine. I'm not going to try and butcher his name because every time I try and say it, it just goes off skew. But yeah, would recommend this, and I enjoyed it. Then we have the first thriller on here, which is surprising that I have multiple, but The Brother by N.V. Peacock. Yeah, this was really edge of your seat and I really enjoyed it. Then we have The Promise by Damon Galgut. This, like, the writing is so good and the story is really like keeps you there and you want to know what's going to happen. And yeah, I still need to write my review for this because I haven't yet. Then we have A Trans Man Walks Into a Gay Bar by Harry Nichols. Really enjoyed this. I read it as an arc and I'm so happy that it's like been published now and people can get their hands on it and learn his story, because it is necessary story in queer literature and culture about a trans gay man, which I think is very limited in terms of what is out there. So happy that people can have this and get some representation that they hadn't previously had. Next is Eye for an Eye by MJ Ulrich. I really enjoyed this, and I'm definitely for sure going to be checking out some more of his works. Lovers by Daniel Arsand, just historical queer French fiction. I mean, of course I'm gonna love it. It's queer French fiction. It's so good. I love that. Then we have The Sentence by Christina Dalcher. I love this book so much. 4.75 stars, so close to 5, same as with the next ones here. But I just think because I had read a previous book that is similar to this, grapples with similar topics, but I just preferred that a lot more. But still, so recommend this, and it was really like you had to keep on reading and reading. Now we have Are You Happy Now by Hannah Jameson. This cover is exquisitely beautiful, and I really enjoyed this book. I read it as an ARC in like January or February, and then I got the physical copy because I want to read it again, and I really enjoyed this. Once again, so close to a full 5, but not. And as I've been saying that, you're probably going to guess that all the other ones from 25 up were all my 5-star reads that weren't rereads, by the way. And then we have Richard Scott's Soho, which is a poetry collection. I love this. So many things are underlined and starred, and the epic at the end, which is the titular one called Soho, is just a love letter to like queer history in a way, and London and Soho, and just, yeah, read this book. It is so good and so short, so what's stopping you? And finally, just missing out on the higher tier, is Circe by Madeline Miller. I really love this book. I think I just, because I read it after Song of Achilles, I maybe wasn't able to grapple with how amazing it actually is on its own, because that one just overshone it. But still, this is exceptional, and I definitely want to give it a reread and see what else I can get out of it. And yeah, I still need to do my review of this. Now we have our 25 through to 11, and the first is Message from Ukraine by Volodymyr Zelensky. It's a collection of essays and like speeches he's made. He is so eloquent and just is so concise in what he wants to say, and you really like need to like hear what he's saying. And I would so recommend this book. It is amazing. Then we have Ladies of Legend by Blanche Saber. This is like a graphic novel non-fiction book about lots of different women throughout like mythology and like history, and just like telling their tales. And I just thought it was compiled really well. The artwork is beautiful, and I loved how it like links like different types of media as well. It's a French book, so it is quite like French focused in terms of what it's linking, but this just like really helped me out so I can actually explore more into like French fiction and French media. And yeah, it was really good. The next book is What July Knew by Emily Coe. I rated as an ARC as well. I really enjoyed this book, and I definitely want to read it again. About this little girl, and she knew quite a lot of things about her mother, the main one being that she died in a car crash when she was young, but it's possibly not, I don't know. That's, she gets a letter saying something, and ... she's just trying to work out like what actually went down, and nobody in her family wants to talk about it, and it's just like trying, like, you're following her. And yeah, I really enjoyed this book. It's so compelling, and it just like it pulls you forward, and you have to keep on turning a page like every single time. So yeah, love that. Then we have The Queering by Brooke Skipstone. I read it as an ARC and I gave it a 5-star review, and then the author like emailed me saying like thank you and asked if I wanted to have a copy sent to me, and I did, and I'm so happy. Yeah, I really enjoyed this book. It's a little bit meta. This is about a 70-ish year old woman, and she writes like queer fiction under a pen name, and she's currently writing a book now about her like first love with a girl called Brooke Skipstone, and about like basically what went down with that storyline. And in the current time frame, this like homophobic, horrible like podcaster guy is trying to like find out who in this town is being writing these like lesbian books, and is trying to like just like is out for her. And his daughter is a student of hers, and she is reading the book that Taylor, who is the old woman, is writing. And yeah, it's so compelling. The ebook version was like 500 pages, and I literally read it in a day, and yeah, I love that. We have Radical Love by Neil Blackmore. This is a historical fiction about a priest in, I can't actually remember the decade, but it's like 1809, and he starts performing like marriages at a molly house for like young like gay men and also like transgender people, and he also sort of like has a romance of his own. And yeah, whilst he is a flawed character, I did really like him and how he sort of like broke the fourth wall in a way, and like spoke to the reader as like someone reading it from the future in a way, if that makes any sense. I'm not sure, but yeah, I really enjoyed this book. And then after I finished it, I wanted to like go around the areas of like Clare Market, which is like where LSE is now in London. And yeah, I don't even know why, I didn't really get much out of it, but yeah, I really enjoyed this book, and I so want to read more by Neil Blackmore. The first on here is Mooncakes by Wendy Xu and Suzanne Walker. This is so adorable. It's like a queer sort of like romancy in a way. It's a graphic novel, and the graphics are graphic in. It's not maybe not the best, but like you can just tell it's like full color. It is like really pretty. It's about a non-binary wolf and a queer hard of hearing witch, and it is just so cute, and I just love the rep in here and the story. And yeah, I would so recommend this. It's so adorable. I love it so much. I need to read more by Wendy Xu if she's produced anything else. The first book by James Baldwin, but certainly not the last I'm going to read by him, and that is The Fire Next Time. This is just an exquisitely penned portrayal of the racial nightmare that was apparent in the 1960s USA at the time, and also a bit before, and obviously it's still continued. But it is so brutally raw and honest. I just need to read more by him. I don't know what I haven't yet, but yeah, I'm so happy I started with this, and it is the start of a long journey, I know for sure. We have a Frederick Backman book. It is And Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer. This is a really short novella. It has pictures in as well, and he made me cry. I was reading this as an ebook on the bus, and I was like crying on the bus how sad this was. But it's also beautiful as well. It's about this this old guy who has like dementia, and he's talking with his grandson, and that's what I'm gonna say because I don't want to give anything else away. But yeah, it's adorable and so sad, and I love it. Then we have Confessions by Kane Minato. Oh my god, this is so good. It starts with a teacher, and she like makes a speech in a way to her like students because she knows one of them murdered her like little daughter, and she is gonna enact her revenge. And what follows is the roller coaster and like turning of how she got her revenge and how it impacts so many different like characters, and it's told in sort of like different ways and from different people's perspectives as the story goes along. So it's not rehashing the same thing, it's just sort of like what happens after. And yeah, I really enjoyed this, and I need to read her other book, Penance I believe it's called, but I just haven't got it yet. But yeah, I love that. Then we have a book that is super freaking weird. It is The Appointment by Catherine Volkmer. Just, oh my god, this this is so weird. What I'm gonna say is that it's about a woman who goes for her appointment, and she just starts telling the doctor all her like ramblings and thoughts and past, her sexuality and gender and identity, and what it was like being like a German living in London, I believe was where she lived. It's about like the inherited shame she has being a German person, and yeah, it talks about so much stuff, and it is so weird. and I just, yeah, it was really, really like funny as well, and just like bonkers, but it's amazing. And I don't think she's written anything else, which is a crime, but I'm definitely gonna look into it and hopefully read some more by Volkma, because this was so good. Then we have another manga, which was my first read of the year, and it is Our Dining Table by Mito Ori. This is just adorable. Oh my god, it is so adorable. This follows Yutaka, who is a salaryman, but he actually has a passion for cooking, and he meets two brothers, Minoru and little baby Tane, who's just the most adorable person ever. And like something happens, and then the brothers are like, oh, why don't you come round and we can like maybe have a meal or something, and they just basically just start like sharing things and becoming like really good friends over these meals that they share. And then also romance blossoms, and it's just the most adorable thing ever, and I really love this, and the artwork is beautiful as well. Let's just see if I can just, I don't know, I'll just show you like a little bit there. I loved it. So cute. Then we have a non-fiction book which literally just recently came out, I think in November, and it is so amazing. It is Landbridge Life in Fragments by Idang Trung. Oh my, this book is so good. It's basically Trung telling the story of her family as they grew up in Cambodia during like the Pol Pot regime and genocide, and how they fled just to the border of Thailand, and her mother gave birth to her at the Idang refugee camp, and then the family moves to Canada, and she just talks about like what it was like being like an immigrant in Canada and growing up. And then also it's like a bit like goes further like to more present day with her husband and child, and she starts writing letters to her child, and I'm getting emotional because she develops cancer, and sadly she has died from it, and she writes these letters to her baby son about different milestones that she's not going to be there for, and it's just, it is so beautiful and like heartwarming and heart-wrenching at the same time. And yeah, and it also just talks about all the people that were victim to the disgusting events that happened in Cambodia, and also just she tells it like it is. She does not put any filter on it, because she talks about the acts of like the US military and how they bombed the country, and also the like weapons and machinery that China like gave to the government at the time, and just this like legacy that has followed her and her family. And yeah, it is an exceptional read. It's sad 100%, but it is just penned so well. And also the subtitle Life in Fragments is such a great subtitle, because it is about this fragmented life that she is living in a way. And yeah, I just cannot recommend this enough. Just yeah, read it. And we have Fake Dates and Mooncakes by Shirley. This is just, it's adorable. It is so sweet. It's a fake dating romance YA book. We're following Dylan and Theo, and Dylan works at his family's Chinese takeout, and then Dylan like orders something one time and his boyfriend is really rude, so then he comes back in store to apologize, and then like he just thinks up like, okay, like I can sort of need a fake date for a wedding, because my dad is like not very nice, and I want to like show that I'm like doing well and things, sort of, in a way. I need to give this a reread, to be honest. But then basically they go to this fake date as a wedding, and ... Yeah, this is super adorable, super cute. I adored the characters. Honestly, Dylan is just like the best person ever. He is just such a great character, been brought up like amazingly, and like the passion he has for like his heritage and cooking and his family is just exquisite, and I loved it. read this book. Then we have a poetry memoir, The Terrible by Yesterday Ward. I'm just going to read the back of this because I think that explains the book and also my thoughts really well. It says it's a story of Yesterday Ward and all the things that happened, quote, even the terrible things, and God, there were terrible things. It's about her childhood in the northwest of England with her beautiful careworn mother and her little brother who sees things written in the stars. It's also about growing up and discovering the power and fear of sexuality, about pitch grey days of pills and powder, going under, losing yourself and finding your voice. Yeah, I think that perfectly sums up this book. It is really, really good. The poems are like penned exceptionally well. Found a bookmark. Well, a thing I use as a bookmark. And I just, yeah, it was so good. It was on track to probably be maybe like a 4 stars, but then I read the second before last one, and it was just like, I literally, the whole thing is called Awareness and Almanac, and seriously, nearly like the whole thing has like stars and like underlined parts because it is so great. And yep, recommend. Of course I do. I told myself I'm gonna stop doing it, and this pains me because number 11 is a book that I didn't expect to be at number 11, and it is Hearts of a Volume 5 by Alice Oseman. I love this. This is exceptional. I absolutely adore it with every fibre of my being. I love the Lovers series so much, but these 10 other books are just somehow better than it, and I would never have expected that going into the year that these 10 books would overtake it, but they did. This follows Nick and Charlie as they are recovering from what happened in volume 4, which has still broken me to this day. And just sort of about how they're getting better and how they're like moving on in life. Nick about like his uni options, and Charlie just sort of like becoming more of himself again. And yeah, I really recommend this book. Obviously also I recommend like the whole series, it's amazing. But yeah, that is number 11. Now we've got my top 10, and it's really difficult to actually pick the best ones. Probably the final 5 could change on any day of the week, but this is the current order, and I'm going to tell you it because that's what we're all here for, aren't we? So I'm so excited. But number 10 is Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. Do not read any reviews of this. Don't read the blurb. I'm not going to tell you what this is about because just go into this book blind. Honestly, go into this book blind and you'll have such an amazing reading experience. All I'm going to say is it is about a person called Piranesi. Or is it? ... Beautiful, amazing writing, and I just, yeah. It was like a fever dream, and I just couldn't stop reading this book, and I would literally sell my soul to be able to read this again and find out what happened. So if that tells you something, then it tells you something. Next is All Men Want to Know by Nina Bowery. This it's got such exceptional, beautiful writing. This is a sort of autofiction. This traces her life as she's growing up in Algeria as a child, and just like the political turmoil at the time, and like her like relationships with like her mother and friends and things. And then it goes like bit more further until like the 90s as she's growing up as like a late teen in Paris and discovering her sexuality and all that comes with that. And yeah, this is so beautiful. I've put her other book Satisfaction on my 2024 list because I need to read more by her. But yeah, this again is annotated, well not annotated per se, because I didn't really, but I just underline and star what is really good. So you're here. Yes. I love it. It's amazing. It's so short, and queer French fiction just hits every single time. And that is a good segue into the next one, which is In the Absence of Men by Philippe Besson. He is on the double in my top 10, with Lie With Me being my favourite book of last year and still currently is my favourite book ever. But this is another work the only other one that's been translated into English, sadly. This follows Vincent in 1916, and he is the age of 16. The way it starts is just you understand straight away how it's going to continue. But I am 16, I am as old as a century. I know there is a war, and then there's a whole paragraph, and then the next one starts, and yet I know nothing of war. I live in Paris, I am a pupil, I am 16. And just what ensues is just a exquisitely penned, beautiful book of heart-wrenchingness that is just so sad, but it's also hopeful in a way. Basically, Vincent in the first part starts a relationship with his family's like housekeeper's son, Arthur, who is fighting in the war, but he's just come back for a week. And he also starts like a friendship in a way with a famous writer called Marcel Proust, and how these two relationships are going to impact his life forevermore. And then in the second part, it's letters between Vincent and the two men, with Arthur back at the front, and Marcel, I can't remember, he goes to see some family or something. And then the final part, which is one I need to read again, I need to read the whole book again, it's Vincent in the same room as Blanche. I think that's her name. I was trying to look again, but I actually can't remember. I think it's Blanche, who is Arthur's mum, and it is just a piece of exceptional writing, and it's so razor sharp, and it is so undoubtedly clear that Besson must write the same thing over and over again just to get it so concise and raw. And yeah, his writing is exquisite and beautiful, and I need to learn French. I need to learn French just so I can read the rest of his books. Yep. Read this. It's so little, and I loved it, and I love this man, but I still prefer Lie With Me to this. Then we have Tin Man by Sarah Winman. I can't believe in the UK we have this cover, and then we have another one with like a bike on it. Like US and like Australia and other places has this beautiful cover with like a painting on, and it's just so exquisite, and we're stuck with this. But anywho, this story is exquisite and beautiful and lovely, and I need to read it again. I need to like underline it because I didn't do it when I started reading it when I was out. I didn't have a pencil or anything, but I need to do that again. Anywho, this follows Ellis and Michael as they're like the boys, and then Annie walks into their life, and that's literally all I'm going to say about this book. Exquisite, beautiful writing, an amazing story, heartwarming-ish, but also very, very heartbreaking. I cried multiple times at this, which is a running theme with my favorite books, is that they made me cry. But yeah, this is amazing. Read it. And it's really short as well, so yep, no excuse. Then we have a classic, and this book, oh my god, this literally could be written like 10 years ago and it would feel exactly the same. That is Morris by E.M. Forster. I'm sorry, what? How is this so modern? It was written in 1914. It wasn't published till like the 70s, but it is just so like modern feeling, and I love this. I love this book so much. This has overtaken Christmas Carol as my favourite classic ever. It's just so good. Basically, we're following Morris Hall as he comes of age and comes of himself as a gay man in early 1900s. He has relationships with two men. The first is Clive, his Cambridge equal, and also Alec, who is a gameskeeper. And yeah, it's just, I don't really want to say too much, but because I really want everyone to read this book, and the way things like develop is just such a rewarding and beautiful reading experience. And I don't know if it's a spoiler, but the ending is one of the best endings ever. Also read the Terminal Note and Introduction by David Levitt if you have this edition, but read them as well because they just add so much more and it really makes you think about the ending and this book, but read them after, obviously. And yeah, it's just amazing. I love you. I love you. Then we have a book that I read and then literally like 5 days later I reread, and that is Queers, 8 Monologues, curated by Mark Gatiss. This is so good. Oh my god, it is so good. It is 8 monologues from 8 people that spans the like 1900s about the different like key points of the queer movement in Britain, and just like the change in social commentary and also like politics and the law. It starts with a World War I soldier talking about like a doomed love that he couldn't really partake in, and ends with a man in, I believe, 2016 getting ready for his gay wedding. And yeah, it is so good. I first of all I watched the like monologues portrayed by the actors on the book, and then afterwards I had to get the book because I needed the book so I can read it along and read it again, and then I read it whilst like listening to the people narrate it, but just I was reading the book. I absolutely love this book. Read it, listen to it, watch it, whatever you do, just consume these stories. Oh, and by the way, these are all the stories and the authors of each one. My favorite is definitely More Anger. Unlike lots of like collections, every single one of these is a hit. There's no duds at all. All of them I gave like 4.5 or above, and it's just amazing, exceptional, beautiful. Read it. Then we have a book that I was not expecting to love as much as I did, because the previous like thriller-ish book I had read before was Paper Ghost by Julia Herbelin, and that was utter trash. But this book ignited like a want to read more thriller-ish books, and that is Notes on Execution by Daniel Kafka. I love this. I love this so much. It is just, it's amazing. It is the best paced book ever. Basically, we're following Ansel through a second person narration on his final day on Earth before he's executed. I'm also following 3 women whose lives are tremendously impacted by Ansel, but they only really shared time together that was like very small. These are his mother, a girl who was at the same orphanage as him and is the policewoman that finally tracked him down, and the sister of his wife. And I just love this so much. The writing is exquisite and it's beautiful, and that is despite the themes of this book about, you know, murder and killing. And I just love the way Kafka like writes these characters and their thoughts and feelings, and it is such a great book at like exploring the idea of capital punishment and the death penalty and crime in a way, and it makes you sympathetic to the serial killer, but also there is just so much nuance. And the final like chapter, like epilogue part, I think is really amazing, because it just adds that like nuance to the book that would probably been lacking, and this is just, it's so good. I love this so much. And yeah, I need to read more by this author, which is why I've put Girl in Snow, her debut, on my 2024 list. I can't wait. Then we have a book that you most definitely have heard of, and that is Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. Oh my, this is exceptional. It is so good. Oh my gosh, I love it. It is a retelling of the Iliad by Homer from the perspective of Patroclus, and it's basically him growing up, and then he goes to live with the family of Achilles, and they start a friendship and then a romance, and it is just beautiful. It is so beautiful. And then it's just like them, and then when they go to Troy in the Trojan War, oh my god, this book made me ugly cry so much. I have a reading vlog, and like I'm crying in that vlog for like quite a while. Someone had told me like literally like 2 years ago you would cry at a mythological retelling. I'll be like what? I'm sorry, who? Do you know me? But no, this was so emotional, and I just loved the way it talked about like the queer experience. And yeah, I loved it. It drags in the middle, and it annoyed me, as well as some parts of this story that were taken from like the original. But I can't really fault Miller for doing that. And the ending, like the last like 25%, just negated literally any badness I had towards it, because it is just so good, and sad and emotional and amazing and beautiful, and just yep. And the quotes, oh my lord, the quotes are so good, so good. I need to give this a reread and annotate it and do all of that fun stuff, because I know I can get more out of this book than I got on the first reading, and I just love it. I absolutely love it. And then we have number 2, which just missed out on the number 1 spot today. Possibly it could change, and I adore this book. I have not stopped thinking about it since I read it, and I need this man to write more books. It is Cheer the F Up by Jack Rook. This is such a vitally important book. It straddles the line of memoir and self-help like amazingly. It's the perfect mix of the two. And it basically just follows Rook from about 16ish to like when he finished it, and when I believe he was like about 20 something, I'm not sure. And it just deals with so much stuff about him, like exploring his sexuality and like coming out and that sort of thing, and then also about going to university and like trying to like, you know, make friends and explore this of so many new things. But like the main part is about like mental health and the crisis that we're currently having and the way it impacts people like differently. And what I think is probably the best part about this book and why it is so important is that it deals with the how to help someone who is ... So it's not just about how to help yourself, which is obviously so important, but there is quite a lot of self-help, mental health focused books about that topic. But in here it's about how to help someone who is dealing with things themselves, because obviously we're having a mental health crisis and a pandemic, and the services that are meant to help people are so strained, and it's obviously adding to the problem, and like people that are suffering is impacting their friends and family. And this is an amazing book at how to help the people that are helping. And yeah, I just think it is so good. I love this man. I love Big Boys, which is his sitcom he wrote, and I rewatched series 1 like last year, like about 3 times, and season 2 is coming out really soon, I think, and I just cannot wait. It is, some parts are like based on his own life, and it is so good. Yes, so recommend this, but this I recommend more. And it is literally a crime that like when I got this, it has like water damage on it from when I put it in my bag, and like it had a hole in it, and I still can't get over how sad I am because I love this. But yeah, read this book. It's the best non-fiction I've ever read. And also, like, here's the thing, like, it's non-fiction, but these like characters or like people felt like I was reading fiction, because I just loved them so much and I related, and I wanted good things to come his way. And like, you already knew that things weren't gonna happen the way you want, and that breaks you more than the actual thing happening. And I just cannot fault this book one single part. It's just so good, so good. And then finally, drum roll please, we have a book by an author that was also featured on my top 10 of last year, so he's done the double. Oh my lord, I love this so much. It is The Madonna of Bolton by Matt Cain. This is so good. Oh my gosh, I love this. Last year I read Becoming Ted, which actually came out this year, in January, and I think I put that at like number 4 or 3 on my top spot. But that book was amazing, but this is better. This just it deals with the queer experience and what it's like growing up queer in the UK in such an amazing and relatable way. And also this concept of like queer shame that so many people, like myself very definitely included, deals with. And also this just like notion of it gets better. And I just felt so seen, and I had such an emotional and strong bond to the main character Charlie, and I just couldn't stop like turning a page and reading his story. But at the same time, I didn't want it to end. I wanted to stay with him like for my whole life. Like, this book is 398 pages. I could literally read like a tome on this. I could read like a 2,000 page book or something. I loved him. I loved Charlie and his story, and just everything so much. Basically, what is it about? It follows Charlie as he's growing up in Bolton as a young gay boy, and he is gifted a lucky star by his aunt, who is an 80s icon. Love her. And this ignites in him a love for Madonna, and she follows him throughout his life, deals with like bullying and like what it's like being queer in school, and then him going to university and trying to enter the world of work and like friends and family, and just basically him. It follows him from about 8, I believe, to 30 something. So it's not his whole life, but it's the period of his life that you grow the most and you come of your own. I just think the way he portrayed this was just beautiful, and I loved it. It's not the most well-written thing, it's not a literary masterpiece, but this book undoubtedly changed the way I view books. And it's like, is it about the writing, is it about the character development and all this stuff, or is it about the way they make you feel and the connections you have and the impact it has on you? And yeah, this book I have not stopped thinking about since I read it in, I believe it was June. I just think about it every single day. And yeah, also in my reading vlog of this, I was just going through the feels at the time, and my brain just wasn't really connecting well. And I cried for like, I think there's probably like about 20 minutes of footage there of me crying, which I was like sped up and took away. But in total, I probably cried for about 45 minutes at this book, maybe an hour. And it's not because it's necessarily sad. It's not really that sad. It's just because of how I was feeling at the time and how much it impacted me. But yeah, this book is one of my favourite things ever created, and I will read everything by this author. That's why I put his new book coming out like literally like in a week or two, One Love on my 2024, because I just cannot wait for that. And when it comes out, I'm going, my legs are just going to walk to the bookshop on their own. I'm not, my brain probably not going to do anything, but yeah, I'm going to go and get that. And I cannot wait. So yeah, just read this book, please read this book to understand what it's like growing up queer still, and just, yeah, basically that's all I need to say really. Just read it, and I love it, and I really hope you enjoyed today's video. I currently have an hour and 12 minutes of footage that I need to edit down. Let's see how much I edit away. Probably not much, because I've been uploading really long videos. Anyway, James, stop talking. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. I love all of these books, and there's a lot more that didn't make my top 50, so check out my Goodreads and StoryGraph to see like my reviews of other books as well. But yeah, these were just from 4.25 stars and up. Like, I have so many 4s that weren't even mentioned. Should I make a top 4 stars? Maybe. Let me know if I should. Anywho, see you soon. Have a nice morning, even night, wherever you are in the world. And yeah, read all of these books. Bye.